Prologue. The desert west of Ashtara, the Holy Land, 1191 A.D. Imad al-Din gripped the reins tight, bent over the saddle low, and spurred his horse on harder across the desert sands. In close attendance, his face a mask of fear, rode his faithful servant, Aziz. Imad's expression was tense. He was a man uncertain of where he was heading, and rushing behind him was the almost certain promise of death. 50 yards away, and closing in rapidly amidst the swirling dust and sand, rode 4 robbers brandishing swords. Imad al-Din had never been fully accustomed to the world. As a man of letters, a historian, and a vital part of Saladin's court, he was relied on to document all the events of the time. That importance had escalated as the accursed infidels, the meddling crusaders under their pope and various Western kings, including the bloodthirsty Richard the Lionheart, had deemed to launch another invasion on Jerusalem. They had also laid siege to Acre. An hour earlier, Imad al-Din and his servant had replenished and watered themselves and the animals at the Dudai oasis. Many travellers did not know of it, but it was a haven for the knowledgeable and those blessed by God. Imad al-Din had never considered himself a brave man, and now that observation was being tested. His retainer let loose the spare horse and spurred his own into a frantic gallop, yelling for him to escape as the robbers started gaining on them. As he was about to follow, in front of him appeared something far worse. From behind a rocky outcrop, and mounted on a fast-moving stallion, another lance-brandishing rider was heading directly at them. This one wore the red cross of a crusader. Imad al-Din surrendered himself to the mercy of God. He was no soldier, and he knew what would be, must be. He offered a hasty prayer up to Allah that his death would not be painful. The crusader galloped towards him, his lance flashing in the dipping rays of the sun. Al-Din closed his eyes and waited for the blow. It never came. He dared to open his eyes and saw that the crusader had ignored him and Aziz, sweeping past them instead, changing his weapon hand as he did so. He was heading towards the robbers. "Merciful Allah!" Imad gasped, pulling his horse to a stop as a flurry of sand descended over him. His pursuers slowed down their charge as the crusader moved his horse to the right and then to a staggering halt. His sword flashed left and right, cutting them down and sending 2 of them into Allah's grace. In a flurry of robes, the 2 remaining robbers turned and tried to escape, but without dismounting, the crusader removed a bow from his back, loaded an arrow, and fired. The first struck one robber in the neck, causing him to crash to the ground, bringing his horse down on top of him. The second found its mark, striking the bandit just below his shoulder blade. He gave a loud shriek, but it was not enough to stop him as he continued at a furious rate back the way he had come. The crusader reined in his horse, dismounted, and plunged his sword into the sand. Removing his full-face helmet, he knelt on one knee. He was clad in a full-length hauberk, and a chain mail covered his head, topped by a blood-stained tabard bearing the red cross of Christ. He bent his head low and gave thanks to God. Imad al-Din dismounted, and together with Aziz they cautiously approached the kneeling knight. Not knowing why, Imad sensed that the danger had passed. Placing his hand on his own breast, and with some caution, he bowed low to the crusader. He had never encountered a Christian knight before, and had only heard of their horrific violence. Was this to be a miraculous reversal of all that he had heard and feared? The lips of the infidel were moving in a prayer to God, and Imad held a respectful distance. The knight's face, partly hidden, was not enough to disguise its youthful and delicate countenance. As moments passed, he noticed the sun dipping fast, and the air had become colder. Imad gauged that the time was right to speak. He did so in Arabic, not expecting an intelligible reply, yet he hoped his posture, manner, and smile would be enough to communicate his gratitude. "I give thanks to Allah that for reasons known only to Him you have saved my life. I am deeply in your debt, Crusader." The reply was unexpected, and came in fluent Arabic. "On another occasion I would have killed you. I am, through my father, a Christian knight, but part of my mission is to protect travellers, whoever they may be, from the likes of these godless robber scum that now lay dead before us. Be thankful, and give thanks to Allah." Imad al-Din's eyes opened wide, and he looked across to Aziz, whose jaw was agape. "You speak our language, and have spared us. How is this?" "You are not soldiers, but travellers. These men were thieves and murderers, and deserve to die. I learned to speak your language, so that I may know my foes more closely." Imad spoke. "It is unfortunate we are enemies, for you are a man of great honour. Please, the night draws in, and we are about to make camp. Won't you sit with us and share what food we have? It is the least I can do. My thanks are not enough. My servant will be lighting a fire. You may camp with us for the night." The knight replied in a soft, low voice, "Gladly. I sense that you too are a man of honour. But first, tell me who you are and what you are doing out here." "My name is Imad al-Din, and this is my servant Aziz. I am a historian and writer at the court of Saladin, may Allah bless him. I am travelling to Hattin to finish recording the events that happened there not long ago. I am no warrior." "So, you are from Saladin's court. The memory of Hattin is hateful for us. I should kill you for being Christ's enemy, but you have shown kindness and respect. Let it stay that way, and trust that we do not have to meet again, or circumstances could be very different." Imad nodded, and through the flickering firelight attempted to see the Crusader's face, but he kept his head bent low. "It is a rare event to meet and talk with such as you. Our meeting is in kindness, and not hate. This I shall record. Men, beneath all our posturing, are much the same, I think. What is your name, Crusader?" he asked as he tore apart some flat bread and offered it to his guest. The knight took the bread and muttered thanks to God for the food. "What I am named is of no matter, though many know me from the colour of this cloak." Imad gasped, as he now realized who his guest could be. He had heard of this warrior, whose deeds and courage had spread far and wide. The knight pulled his thick green cloak tightly around him to keep out the encroaching coldness. As he did so, the hood forming part of his hauberk fell back to his shoulders. The knight snatched it back up to cover his head, but was not quick enough. Imad had seen. A red horizontal scar ran across the top of the knight's scalp from one side to the other. What rendered him speechless was the mane of lustrous fair hair held tight by two enamel brooches. The Crusader was a woman.